the truth finally erupts into the open during the high-stakes second half of the rivalry match. On the pitch, a resentful Duke flatly refuses to pass the ball to Sebastian, completely freezing him out of the game. Realizing the deception can no longer continue if they want to win, Viola stops the game and makes a shocking choice. In front of the stunned teammates, coaches, and spectators, she strips off her wig and reveals her true identity to the entire world. To silence a skeptical Principal Gold, she is forced to flash her chest wrap, leaving the stadium in absolute, paralyzed disbelief. The story begins at Cornwall Preparatory School, where soccer isn't just a weekend hobby for Viola Hastings, it is the absolute center of her world. Fast, competitive, and completely devoted to the game, she thrives on the field. But the excitement of a hard-fought match quickly crashes into deep disappointment when the girls' soccer program is suddenly cut. While many students reluctantly accept the decision, Viola refuses to believe talent should be limited by gender. Her frustration grows when the boys' team dismisses the idea that girls could compete at the same level. Fueled by equal parts determination and anger, she challenges the assumption directly, only to find herself blocked at every turn. At home, things are no easier. Her mother is entirely focused on debutante preparations and social appearances, pushing Viola toward a traditional future that feels completely disconnected from who she is. Surrounded by people telling her what she should be, Viola becomes increasingly certain about one thing: she will find a way to keep playing. Then an unexpected opportunity appears. Her twin brother Sebastian reveals that he plans to secretly leave town for several weeks with his band. As Viola watches him pack and disappear, a bold and outrageous idea begins taking shape, one that could change everything. She will cut her hair, disguise her voice, change her appearance, and step into his shoes. If they won't let her play as a girl, she will step onto the field as a boy, risking her entire reputation for the game she loves. With Sebastian safely on a plane to London, Viola steps into territory that sounds completely impossible even to herself. Enlisting the help of her closest friends, she undergoes a radical transformation to recreate her twin brother's identity. They style a short wig, apply fake sideburns, adjust her eyebrows, and wrap her chest, turning her into Sebastian Hastings. The master plan is incredibly simple in theory but absolutely terrifying in practice. Enroll at Olivia Prep posing as her brother and earn a legitimate place on their elite boys varsity soccer team. The moment she steps onto the campus, every single second becomes a high-stakes test of survival. The ordinary school hallways suddenly feel like a dangerous obstacle course filled with endless opportunities for total exposure. A misplaced feminine gesture, an instinctive girl-friendly reaction, or even a minor slip in her manufactured vocal pitch could instantly destroy everything. Her new roommate, Duke Orsino, immediately notices that this version of Sebastian seems highly unusual and eccentric. Duke is talented, deeply confident, and completely focused on winning the attention of his beautiful crush, Olivia. While Viola continuously struggles to navigate the intense pressure of maintaining her physical disguise, she also has to survive dorm life, biology classes, and the endless, unceasing scrutiny of teenage boys. Each daily interaction requires intense calculation, and every casual conversation feels like a high-wire theatrical performance. Yet, beneath the gripping anxiety is raw excitement. For the first time, she has real access to the athletic opportunity she fought so hard for. The massive challenge now isn't just getting into Illyria, it's fully convincing everyone on the field that she belongs there. Life as Sebastian becomes infinitely more complicated the exact moment soccer enters the picture. During the intense early tryouts, Viola heavily struggles to match the raw physical expectations and aggressive pacing placed on the boys. She knows the game inside and out, but proving her worth on the field requires far more than tactical skill. The team quickly dismisses Sebastian as awkward and physically inexperienced, and the tough coach remains completely unconvinced by her performance. Determined not to fail, Viola throws herself into relentless training. Her days quickly become an exhausting, endless cycle of practicing, pretending, and adapting to her grueling new reality. Meanwhile, Duke begins helping her improve, genuinely believing he is mentoring a struggling teammate who simply lacks confidence. Their isolated, late-night training sessions create an unexpected friendship. Away from the intense noise of campus competition, Duke reveals his deepest frustrations, personal insecurities, and romantic hopes. Viola listens carefully, slowly seeing the real person beyond his superficial athletic reputation. The more time they spend together, the more natural and fluid their connection becomes. Ironically, the elaborate disguise meant solely to help her play soccer is also placing her closer to someone she never expected to care about. By the end of these early struggles, Viola barely earns a hard-fought place on the junior varsity squad. It certainly isn't the grand varsity victory she originally wanted, but it officially proves she belongs at the school. For now, survival, quiet resilience, and steady persistence are enough. As Duke's friendship deepens, he shares the source of his constant distraction, Olivia. Elegant, admired, and seemingly unattainable, she occupies his thoughts completely. Duke strikes a deal with Sebastian, offering to help him make the varsity soccer squad if Sebastian helps him win over Olivia. This arrangement creates a chaotic situation Viola could have never predicted. Forced to coach her crush through romantic strategies and deep conversations, she spends hours helping another person pursue someone else. What begins as simple, harmless dating advice slowly becomes emotionally painful for Viola. During these quiet moments, Duke's genuine kindness and vulnerability become absolutely impossible for her to ignore, and she falls hard for the version of him that exists beyond the soccer field. At the same time, the plan backfires completely when Olivia unexpectedly develops a massive interest in Sebastian. Tired of the superficial machismo of guys like Duke, Olivia is deeply captivated by Sebastian's sensitive, attentive listening style, unaware that she she is actually connecting with a woman. The resulting confusion creates a rapidly growing web of hilarious misunderstandings. Viola finds herself painfully trapped between maintaining her secret male identity, supporting her roommate Duke, and desperately managing Olivia's unwanted affection. The situation is completely absurd, yet every single mistake carries massive consequences. Beneath the brilliant physical comedy lies a quiet, bittersweet emotional shift. Viola is completely in love with Duke, but the person he trusts most doesn't actually exist. The emotional conflict reaches a chaotic breaking point during the highly anticipated Illyria Country Club Carnival. Because Duke believes his roommate is Sebastian, their growing bond creates a deep undercurrent of confusion that neither can openly address. Viola experiences the immense frustration of standing inches away from honesty while remaining completely unable to speak her truth. Every meaningful interaction carries a painful double significance. Duke sees a trusted male friend, while Viola sees the person she has completely fallen for. The stakes explode at the charity kissing booth when Duke is flatly rejected by his crush, Olivia. Seizing a rare opportunity, Viola temporarily sheds her male disguise to take over the booth as herself. When Duke steps up to the window, the two share a deeply romantic, genuine kiss that leaves Duke completely smitten with Sebastian's sister. Hoping to use this momentum, Viola quickly switches back into her male clothes. However, before she can process the romance, Olivia tracks down Sebastian in the crowd to finally lay out her true feelings. Completely smitten by his sensitive, attentive nature, Olivia openly confesses her romantic attraction and plants a passionate kiss right on a stunned Sebastian. Duke witnesses this exact intimate encounter from a distance, mistakenly believing his trusted roommate has deliberately stabbed him in the back. The country club immediately buzzes with shocking rumors, false assumptions, and a destructive chain reaction where the looming collision of her dual identities is now completely unavoidable. The pressure intensifies as Viola attempts to balance multiple clashing identities at once. Outside the walls of Illyria, she still has mandatory responsibilities tied directly to her real life, including the elegant junior league debutante luncheons her mother absolutely refuses to let her skip. Moving between these completely different worlds becomes an increasingly risky gamble. One missed appointment or delayed arrival leads to another terrifyingly close call, and believable excuses become harder to invent. The extreme mental strain begins showing in small ways: a delayed response, a nervous glance, or a rushed decision. Meanwhile, Olivia's aggressive attraction to Sebastian grows stronger, creating fresh, unavoidable complications every single time she appears on campus. Viola desperately tries to redirect the romance without accidentally revealing her true identity. The physical comedy rapidly escalates through awkward dining encounters, mistaken assumptions, and frantic improvisation, but underneath the humor is a layer of genuine exhaustion. Maintaining a completely false identity 24 hours a day demands constant, unceasing vigilance. Even Duke starts questioning certain bizarre inconsistencies in his roommate's behavior. Yet, despite the mounting challenges, Viola remains entirely focused on her original goal. She flatly refuses to abandon the hard-won chance to prove herself on the varsity field. Every new obstacle only reinforces exactly why she started this wild journey. What began as a rebellious stunt has officially evolved into a deeply personal fight to be recognized for her actual ability rather than her gender. Just when the delicate situation seems manageable, fresh problems arrive from every conceivable direction. To stop the team from viewing Sebastian as a total outcast, Viola's friends stage a brilliant intervention at a local pizzeria, pretending to be a crowd of gorgeous ex-girlfriends completely obsessed with him. The genius stunt instantly elevates Sebastian's social status, earning him the absolute respect of Duke and the guys. However, the carefully balanced illusion begins developing major cracks when Sebastian's conceited girlfriend, Monique, grows highly suspicious of his sudden, distant behavior. At the exact same time, Viola's aggressive former boyfriend, Justin, begins reappearing on the scene, harboring intense jealousy and carrying massive misunderstandings of his own. Moving between soccer practice, avoiding Monique's constant stalking, and sneaking off campus to maintain her real identity feels like a ticking time bomb. Each day brings another terrifying opportunity for total disaster. Yet, amid the swirling chaos, her relationship with Duke continues rapidly evolving. Their late-night dorm room conversations reveal deep trust, loyalty, and mutual respect. Viola finds herself desperately wanting to tell him the absolute truth, but doing so would completely destroy everything she is sacrificing her life for. The internal dilemma becomes increasingly painful. Remaining silent protects her athletic dream but forces her to lie to the person she cares about most. The clock is running out, and every secret has an expiration date. Everything becomes dramatically more complicated when the real Sebastian unexpectedly returns from London a day early. Completely unaware of the elaborate deception unfolding around him, he walks directly into a world where people already believe he has been present for weeks. The result is immediate, chaotic confusion. Friends, classmates, and romantic interests begin encountering two totally different versions of the same person. Confusion spreads rapidly across the campus as individual stories stop matching and explanations collapse. The trouble hits a high point when Olivia encounters the real, clueless Sebastian in the hallway and enthusiastically kisses him. Duke witnesses this intimate encounter from a distance, cementing his absolute fury. A few minutes later, a completely oblivious Viola returns to the dorm room disguised as Sebastian. Believing his roommate has completely betrayed their friendship, Duke angrily confronts her and kicks her out of the room entirely, forcing a heartbroken Viola to sleep over in Eunice's dorm. Meanwhile, the real Sebastian is left utterly bewildered elsewhere on campus, having absolutely no idea why a strange guy is screaming at him or why beautiful girls are suddenly throwing themselves at him in public. Viola frantically scrambles scrambles to regain control of the situation, but events are simply moving too fast. The carefully constructed illusion that once seemed brilliant now teeters on the edge of total disaster. Each encounter threatens exposure, and each misunderstanding multiplies into a dangerous chain reaction where the shocking truth is approaching. The massive unraveling accelerates as the day of the highly anticipated rivalry match against Cornwall finally arrives. Because of the room swap confusion, the real, non-athletic Sebastian accidentally winds up on the soccer field to play the first half. He plays absolutely terribly, completely baffling the furious coach and an already resentful Duke, who cannot understand how his star teammate suddenly lost all coordination. Meanwhile, the suspicious Malcolm and Monique report their wild theories to Principal Gold, claiming Sebastian is actually a girl in disguise. This forces a dramatic, hilariously awkward mid-game interruption where the principal demands Sebastian prove his gender right on the sidelines. The real Sebastian confidently pulls down his shorts, easily passing the inspection and leaving the accusers completely humiliated. Realizing the total chaos unfolding at the stadium, Viola tracks down her twin brother during halftime. They quickly explain the wild situation to each other, and Viola convinces him to let her swap back into the game so she can salvage the match and fix the massive mess she created. She has spent weeks balancing impossible expectations, but the ultimate consequences of her deception are finally colliding on the pitch. Viola understands that stepping back onto that field means facing an incredibly angry Duke and a suspicious crowd, but she refuses to abandon her teammates or her dream. The atmosphere shifts from playful confusion to high-stakes athletic drama. Friendships are tested and trust is deeply questioned as Viola prepares to play the most important half of her life. While Cornwall demands a total forfeiture, the open-minded Illyria coach realizes the official handbook has no rule preventing women from playing, proudly letting Viola stay on the field. The match transforms into an intense battle for personal validation. Recognizing her undeniable skill and dedication, Duke puts his anger aside and forms a powerful, cooperative dynamic with her on the field. The thrilling sequence combines emotional release with a spectacular athletic payoff. When a critical, last-second penalty kick is called, Viola steps up to face her arrogant ex-boyfriend, Justin, who is playing goalie for Cornwall. With a brilliant, calculated chip shot, she completely outsmarts him to score the glorious, game-winning goal. Shockwaves ripple through the stadium as the crowd explodes into cheers. Viola's triumphant performance becomes the ultimate, undeniable answer to everyone who ever doubted her. With the dramatic soccer disguise fully exposed, the messy fallout of Viola's web of lies must finally be addressed. While the school celebrates the historic victory over Cornwall, Duke remains deeply hurt by the elaborate deception, pulling away from Viola and leaving her completely heartbroken. The narrative emotional stakes shift rapidly from the sports stadium to the grand ballroom of the official debutante ball. Believing that a furious Duke completely ignored her invitation, a disappointed and disheartened Viola arrives at the country club wearing casual jeans and a basic t-shirt, completely lacking any festive spirit. Feeling overwhelmed by the upscale high society atmosphere, she immediately slips away from the crowd to walk by the club's quiet outdoor pond. The entire mood changes when Duke unexpectedly tracks her down by the water. Stepping completely out of his comfort zone, he approaches her and honestly admits that he cannot deny the deep feelings he developed for her when they were roommates. He forgives the past deception, demanding only absolute honesty moving forward, and asks to be her real date. With the romance fully restored, Viola quickly rushes inside to change, making a spectacularly late entrance as she steps onto the main stage wearing a stunning green gown. Walking proudly alongside Duke, the two are formally introduced to the crowd as an official couple. To the absolute delight of her image-obsessed mother, they share a romantic dance and a passionate, honest first kiss right in the center of the crowded ballroom. In the film's final, uplifting closing moments, the major personal and athletic conflicts find their ultimate, satisfying resolution. Flash forward to the new school semester at Illyria Prep, where the rigid institutional barriers that previously held female athletes back have been completely shattered. Viola no longer needs to divide herself into separate identities or hide behind a false masculine persona just to pursue the game she loves. She takes the field proudly as herself, officially joined by Duke on Illyria's newly established, unified co-ed varsity soccer team. Their inspiring romantic partnership translates seamlessly into a formidable athletic duo, proving that true talent thrives on mutual respect. Nearby, the real Sebastian and a happy Olivia are shown successfully dating, their own unusual relationship built on genuine mutual attraction. Even Viola's highly traditional mother has undergone a massive change of heart, completely trading her obsession with rigid high society debutante luncheons to cheer enthusiastically from the stadium bleachers. As the final whistle blows, Viola and Duke share a celebratory embrace and a sweet kiss on the bright green grass, the vibrant stadium lights shining down on them as the upbeat credits begin to roll. Beneath the hilarious mistaken identities and endless physical comedy, the journey leaves the audience with a powerful, lasting message about living authentically. Viola's story began with deep frustration and desperate rebellion, but it ends with absolute confidence, undeniable victory, and stepping forward as exactly who she was always meant to be.